Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday, but today is a special one because we have a lot to discuss about Binance and CZ. A lot has changed in cryptocurrency within the last 24 hours and we really need to be discussing that today. So make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, chat in the live chat, get that stream rolling, try and engage with the video as much as possible, because the more you do, the more YouTube will share the stream with more people, and then the more people can learn about cryptocurrency and what is going on in the markets right now, because it is absolutely insane. Hello PG, hello Cyrus, thank you very much for tuning in. Let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin here this morning. We are looking at Bitcoin at $36,502, down just less than 2% within the last 24 hours, and we've got Ethereum up ever so slightly to $2,016. So slight movements there, but we've got some big tokens here with some big gains in the last 24 hours as well. We've got FTX's token up a huge 41%. Now that is absolutely insane. We're also seeing Clay up almost 8%, Synthetics, Uniswap up between 6 and 7% there. And we've got some biggest losers here now. Who can guess who the biggest loser of the day is? We have BNB at the top of that list, down almost 10% within the last 24 hours. We've got Near, Loopring, and Pancake sat there as well with all 7%, 8% losses. So big changes within the last 24 hours of the markets. I want to be discussing this today because it has been absolutely chaotic. I don't know who was on the live stream when we were live streaming yesterday evening. We did a live stream yesterday with Miss Teen Crypto. If you've not watched that, make sure to check that out. It's on this channel you are watching right now, and make sure to go over to her social media platforms as well and give her a follow. She gave a lot of really good insights yesterday, and she does on every single live stream, so make sure to check that out. Hello everybody in the chat. Hello Kevin. Hello Alex. Thank you very much for tuning in as always. We also received a huge number of super chats on yesterday's stream, so if that was you, thank you so much. We very much appreciate it. We had our highest super chat ever of $50 donation to the site, so thank you very much for that. Let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin right now, because Bitcoin is being a little bit volatile here. Now, on the 1 minute chart, it's looking choppy. On the 3 minute chart, yep, it's looking like we are seeing a rebound here. Now, on the 4 hour chart, it's clear as day. We had this channel here, and we had this level of support. Now, I'm surprised that we did actually see these candles close below that level of support. I would have much preferred if they stayed above that $36,000 level. They did not, but we do have some levels to be looking at this point in time following this move to the downside. Now, this move to the downside was clearly because CZ is about to plead guilty and has stepped down as the CEO of Binance. We will be going through the many news articles about that in just a second. But let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin here. It's trading just below $36,500, and we can see we need to look for some levels of support and resistance. Well, clearly we have a level here. This has been used as a resistance multiple times and as a support, and now as a support again. That's at $35,570. We also have some levels of resistance at the prices that we are trading at right now. If we take a look at these levels here, you can see that if we get a level here, this is a level of resistance. This has been used multiple times on the 1 hour chart. That's the $36,700 level. We have just been rejected from this, but we're keeping an eye on it. We also have some levels of support here as well. I would say that on the 1 hour chart, this is an important price point as well. That is at $36,430. So I'm just keeping a close eye on that in the shorter time frames. We have had a nice bounce to the upside. This bounce, obviously, we can't just go up in a straight line. Things are still volatile in the markets. Things are still uncertain. And we are going to be talking about that today and talking about why we think all of this has happened. In fact, I want to pull up that Martini guy's Twitter today because we've seen some opinions here, and I think they're really interesting there. So that Martini guy, let's take a look at this. He's been tweeting about what's happened here. Essentially, Binance is the biggest exchange in the world, and their CEO, CZ, has chosen to plead guilty and step down from Binance. Now, let's go through the articles and then we'll get on to his Twitter there. So We can see here in the chat some different opinions on CZ. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, and tune into these live streams every single weekday. We have not missed a day in a year. It's going very close. We started these live streams on the 7th of December, so it's very close to being a year of these live streams every single day. We started them when Bitcoin was down at $16,000. It's now up at $36,000. And we're all feeling like we're worried about this thing. We've been here since the start. We're educating from the start. We've been learning about the cryptocurrency news and discussing the cryptocurrency news with you all for a year now. So make sure to stay tuned. Hit like, hit subscribe, turn the bell notification button on, and make sure to tune in every day so you can learn about the cryptocurrency space with us and join our growing community. Let's take a look at what's going on here in the news. So we have $1.2 billion dollars have been withdrawn from Binance following CZ's resignation. So he stepped down as the CEO of the exchange. Now, he has pleaded guilty to charges whilst stepping down here. We will take a look at some of his tweets here today, but what we are seeing is he has resigned as he pleads guilty to criminal charges. The news comes as it was reported this week from the Department of Justice that they were sorting $4 billion from Binance to end criminal proceedings against the exchange. Now, the CEO has accepted the charges of violating US anti-money laundering requirements. It is suggested that the deal and settlement fine will now allow Binance to continue operating and serving its customers. CZ appeared in the Seattle federal court on Tuesday and entered his plea, cementing the looming conclusion of the Binance tussle with the US authorities. Binance is also set to pay a $4.3 billion fine to end the US's probe into the exchange. So let's see what's saying here. BetaBot said sending CZ to jail is just like putting a dirty shirt into the clothing washing line. What we're seeing here is some major changes, and I think there's a lot to unpack here. So let's start from the beginning. Binance is the leading cryptocurrency exchange. Now we're seeing a huge amount of spot Bitcoin ETFs being applications being made to the SEC right now, and all of these ETFs, well, the majority of these leading ETFs from companies like BlackRock, like Fidelity, like VanEck, are using Coinbase as their custodian, which basically means Coinbase is going to be holding the cryptocurrency on behalf of these ETFs. So what we're seeing here is an indication that Coinbase could be moving up to be the number one player in the space when it comes to centralized exchanges. We are also seeing that Binance is going to be able to continue to run. These are the key points here. Binance is going to be able to continue to operate as long as CZ steps down, hands over that power to somebody else, and pays that fine. Now, we're taking a look at this, and to be completely speculative and take a look at what's happening here, CZ has been not following as the CEO, has not been following the anti-money laundering requirements, essentially not ensuring that his users are using the platform in the correct way. Now, this exchange has become one of the leading exchanges in the world. I've seen some comments about this. In fact, if we go to the replies section here, I'm sure Jordan replied to it earlier today. Let's take a look at where this tweet has gone. Something about what would happen here. I believe it was Crypto Banter that tweeted it in the first place. Here we go. Crypto Ran says, honest question. If you were CZ and you could go back in time knowing that the penalty is $4.3 billion and a maximum 18-month sentence, would you have served US customers, violated AML, etc. to build the biggest exchange in the world and land up here where he did today? Essentially, what's happened here is CZ has made this brilliant company, built the biggest exchange on the world, and has been very, very successful, but he hasn't done this in the correct way. Now, the question is, how many people are actually doing these things in the correct way? And there's a really interesting comment off the back of this tweet. Somebody says, come on, they claim that those are the reasons CZ Binance has this issue now. However, you know it isn't. While CZ wanted to hurt FTX, he accidentally exposed their fraud and accelerated their collapse. That angered all of SBF's powerful friends, and they got their revenge, period. Now, this is a really interesting comment. So let's go back to November last year. CZ tweeted that him and Binance were going to be selling their FTT tokens. Those tokens are the tokens issued by FTX, the exchange that fell in November last year. And what happened after Binance and CZ said they were selling their tokens was a huge amount of people decided to sell FTT as well. FTX had to pause withdrawals as a result for this because their balance sheet wasn't adding up, and they had a huge amount of problems. Now, a lot of people have accused CZ and Binance of triggering the FTX collapse and accelerating their collapse, which could be possible. The fall of FTT could have been possible, but at the end of the day, FTX was still doing all of those things they shouldn't have been doing behind closed doors, using customer funds to trade with, etc., and to move into Alameda Research. FTX were corrupt. They were not doing things in the correct way. But people are stating that if CZ had not tweeted that he was selling all of his FTT tokens, then maybe FTX wouldn't have fallen at the time it did, and he's accelerated the collapse. Now, we know SBF, the former CEO of FTX, was donating huge amounts of money to a huge amount of people in power when it comes to the US. So this guy here is suggesting that maybe this is their revenge here. Get CZ out. He's caused harm to an exchange that they knew and loved, and now they want their revenge there. Well, Binance has been... let's see what's going on. Kevin Stone says, CZ getting out on top, eats is SBF. I wonder if CZ sold his FTT last November, or is he still holding gains? CZ 10 moves ahead of everybody. CZ was seen as one of the biggest players in the cryptocurrency space. He has been leading the Binance exchange from the beginning. Before many of us even entered cryptocurrency, this guy went to build a cryptocurrency exchange, which was absolutely insane. He's been there in the space, pushing good things for the cryptocurrency industry, advocating for cryptocurrency and Bitcoin for years. So it's very, very disappointing to see this outcome, but this is an outcome that you take, a risk that you take on when you are a director of a company and you are maybe not complying with all of the regulation that you should be complying with. As a result of this, we are seeing CZ potentially facing 18 months in prison and a $4.3 billion fine. We have already seen Binance already make a transaction of $3.9 billion from a cold wallet to a hot wallet. So potentially this is the payment being made already. We are seeing that Binance have agreed to pay the settlement fine, so they will still be operating as a cryptocurrency exchange. We have seen tweets from CZ himself discussing this, so let's take a look at that. What we have here is, today I stepped down as CEO of Binance. Admittedly, it was not easy to let go emotionally, but I know it is the right thing to do. I made mistakes and I must take responsibility. This is best for our community, for Binance, and for myself. Binance is no longer a baby. It is time for me to let it walk and run. I know Binance will continue to grow and excel with the deep bench it has. I'm pleased to announce that Richard Teng, our now former global head of regional markets, has been named the new CEO of Binance today. Richard is a highly qualified leader, and with over 3 decades of financial services and regulatory experience, he will navigate the company through its next period of growth. He will ensure Binance delivers on our next phase of security, transparency, compliance, and growth. Prior to joining Binance, Richard was CEO of the Financial Services Regulatory Authority at Abu Dhabi Global Markets, Chief Regulatory Officer at the Singapore Exchange, and Director of Corporate Finance in the Monetary Authority of Singapore. Now, this guy's got a good CV. He is inside Binance already. He knows how it works. He sounds like the perfect guy to take on the job of being CEO. We are seeing here, though, with Richard and the entire team, I'm confident that the best days for Binance and the crypto industry lay ahead. As a shareholder and former CEO with historical knowledge of our company, I will remain available to the team to consult as needed, consistent with the framework set out in our US agency resolutions. So CZ is no longer allowed to be an executive at the company. He still can be a majority shareholder of the company. He just cannot be the executive that makes these decisions, but he is still allowed to actually consult the executives and give them advice as to what he would do. Now, what's next for CZ? He says he will take a break. He's not had a single day off for 6.5 years. And after that, his thinking is he will probably do some passive investing, being a minority token shareholder in startups in areas of blockchain, Web3, DeFi, AI, and biotech. I am happy that I will finally have more time to spend looking at DeFi. I can't see myself being a CEO driving a startup again. I am content being a one-shot lucky entrepreneur. Should there be listeners, I may be open to being a coach mentor to a small number of upcoming entrepreneurs privately. If for nothing else, I can at least tell them what not to do. On that note, I am proud to point out that in our resolutions with the US agency, they do not allege that Binance misappropriated any user funds. This is what's been happening with FTX, they misappropriated user funds, took user funds and did things with it that they shouldn't, moved it into Alameda Research, traded with it and all of that stuff. Binance have not done this according to the US agencies that are looking to create this fine for them, and they do not allege that Binance engaged in any market manipulation. So that is really, really important there, and those 2 points there should not be understated. They are the fears that we have when it comes to centralized exchanges. So to see that is not the case here is really, really important, and to highlight that again is very important there. What we're seeing here is CZ is looking to move on. He can step down as CEO. He has served the industry brilliantly. Unfortunately, it has come that he hasn't properly been following AML regulation. They have agreed to pay that fine. They are paying that fine. They are continuing with operations. They have not been misappropriating funds. They have not engaged in market manipulation, and well, according to the US government anyway, and they are looking to continue to move forward with a new CEO who is seen to have a brilliant track record and should be continuing to push the company forward and push the industry forward. It's sad to see CZ go. He is potentially going to face 18 months in prison at maximum, but we'll see if that plays out. I still believe that he has done everything he can to drive the cryptocurrency space forwards here. Let's take a look at what's going on in the chat here to see what's going on. Kevin Stone says, who remembers when BNB was under $40? PG says, if CZ faces prison, the most major bank CEOs should face prison. Let's see what's going on here. Aru says, you were literally the person I got to know the news from yesterday. You broke it with MTC. Thank you very much. I was on a live stream with Miss Teen Crypto yesterday evening. We did a live stream at 5 p.m. UK time. If you've not watched that, make sure to check it out. It was very interesting. Miss Teen Crypto is brilliant at discussing what's going on in cryptocurrency. She came on the live streams and we discussed this, and this CZ news broke as we were on live stream. We were very shook at the time. We had to take a minute to digest what was going on, and then we ran through the most recent news article that we had at the time, which was stating that CZ was pleading guilty to not following these AML regulations correctly, and we were looking at the next steps for cryptocurrency. So we were watching that live on stream. Make sure to check that stream out if you have not already. Let's take a look at what's going on here. So on the whole, CZ is pleading guilty to violating criminal anti-money laundering requirements. He is stepping down as CEO. Somebody else from Binance who has a brilliant track record is coming in as CEO, and CZ will continue to consult him and try and help the company grow as much as possible as he can. And CZ is still staying the majority shareholder of Binance. Binance are paying that $4 billion fine, and they are moving on with their day, continuing operations and moving forward. So although this was a massive shock for the cryptocurrency market and a massive spread of fear for the cryptocurrency market, things are looking like we can continue to move forwards. And as I was saying in yesterday's stream, this whole time throughout this bear market, there has been so much FUD about Binance and many other leading centralized exchanges, and we've just had to hope that none of it was true. Now, when it comes to Binance, if Binance were to close down, like we saw FTX at the end of last year, it would be catastrophic for the cryptocurrency industry. Now, to see that, yes, they have not been following anti-money laundering requirements is true. It's very disappointing, but to see that we can still continue to have Binance as an operating exchange, we can see CZ pay this fine and maybe serve his sentence, but we have a big new player in the space that is going to be the CEO and is able to move Binance forward, is better than the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario could have been much worse. We did not want an FTX type situation for Binance, so very grateful that they have not been misappropriating user funds. I can't believe we even have to say that. We should have the regulation in place so this did not happen with FTX in the first place. But I do think there is a couple of problems here. Now, obviously, these things that we are seeing the space move forward from this. It's not the end of the world when it comes to Bitcoin right now. The news here, yes, it shook us all, and it did cause Bitcoin to drop slightly in price, but it's not the end of the world. We do have a new CEO that hopefully will continue to drive the project forwards and bring a new wave of interest for the cryptocurrency markets. But what we are seeing here is more concerns around centralized exchanges. Now, we saw this with FTX in November. We're seeing it now when we have concerns around centralized exchanges. Retro Mike Tech dropped another $10 in the chat. Thank you very much for that donation. Retro Mike donated $50. than $20 yesterday. Thank you so much. We very much appreciate it. The biggest donations we've ever had here on these live streams, and we've been doing them every single weekday for an entire year now, since Bitcoin was down at $16,000, trying to create a community of people that are researching the cryptocurrency news, an educated community, and that is exactly what we have built. So thank you very much for that donation. We very much appreciate it. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Jerome says hashtag tips for Jess. Yeah, let's continue that hashtag. I've not spoke to Jordan yet. Let's see who keeps them. Let's see what's going on here. The concerns that I have is that FTX, the centralized exchange, the news around that about it all shutting down in November last year, hit mainstream media. Now we're seeing a huge amount of news in mainstream media about Binance and CZ as well. Now with that, with all of these concerns around centralized exchanges hitting the mainstream media, without any positivity about crypto hitting the mainstream media, or very small amounts, it's making people that don't know what cryptocurrency is more and more fearful about the cryptocurrency space. Now this happens every single bear market, but this time it feels like it's happened more than ever. And I think with these concerns around the centralized exchanges, people are going to be a little bit more cautious about getting into crypto this time around. I don't think it's going to be a huge problem, but I just think it's another battle that we are going to have to face. Every time we have a bear market, people say, I don't want to get in crypto, I don't like it. And every time we get in a bull market, people say, how do I get into crypto? And it's the same thing on repeat every 4 years. But with these exchanges, people are going to be a little bit more cautious about what exchange they use this time around. And some people are going to choose that they don't have the time to research the centralized exchanges, so it may take them a little bit longer to get into the markets. Or some people may turn to the ETFs. And this is why I think Bitcoin spot ETFs are so important for adoption in the next bull market. People that don't know what cryptocurrency is know that FTX is bad, know something's happened with Binance, and when they decide they want to get into the markets during the bull market, when they get all the FOMO, they may look and go, do you know what, I don't understand this enough to learn what centralized exchange is good and what centralized exchange is bad. So instead, I'd prefer to turn to a spot Bitcoin ETF. And that is exactly why I really want to see these ETFs in the market, because they make cryptocurrency so much more accessible. They remove some of those concerns for people that don't understand the space as much, and just give them that easy access to get exposure to the cryptocurrency markets. Now, I do understand that some people aren't completely on board with spot Bitcoin ETFs. They kind of go against the reason we are in cryptocurrency in the first place for many people, but I think they will drive adoption for the space massively, allow people to get exposure, and people that would not otherwise get involved in the cryptocurrency markets will just find it so much easier to get into the cryptocurrency space. And hopefully, eventually, they do understand self-custody and they will move from the ETFs and to self-custody and buying Bitcoin personally as well. But I think maybe that's it. That's another swing down the line. Let's see what's going on here. Let's all bless Jess this bull market with some of our juicy gains. Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you very much again, Mike. I very much appreciate that super chat. I will be sending that into the team chat after today's stream. Let's see what is going on. Well, what should we discuss here? I think really it's important to discuss what's happening with these centralized exchanges, because in yesterday's stream, I was discussing with Miss Teen Crypto about what the future of cryptocurrency looks like when it comes to centralized exchanges. In the last year, we've seen the SEC and the regulators in the US target the centralized exchanges a lot. And maybe I personally think they have done this because they missed FTX and they're trying to show that they are now focusing on the cryptocurrency space and moving bad actors out of the space. But sometimes they've gone down the wrong path, and we have seen that before. Now, they didn't catch FTX. They went very closely with Sam Bankman-Fried. He was making a huge amount of monetary donations to people with power in the US, and he was working with very powerful people in terms of regulation of cryptocurrency up until a couple of days before FTX fell in November last year. So he was working very closely to them. They were not regulating FTX correctly. The regulators in the US and the regulators all over the world are meant to be protecting investors, yet they did not protect investors that were using FTX. That was the problem with FTX, and now these regulators are trying to capture problems in other centralized exchanges. Now, do we think these problems will continue? Are we going to see this regulation stifle growth of the cryptocurrency space into the next bull market over the next 10 years? I think regulation needs to become more clear. We've seen a huge problem because the US regulators have not determined what a digital asset is, whether it's a security or it's a commodity. And that is a problem. Now, let's take a look at this article quickly. Breaking news here. We have an article here. Grayscale leadership team meet with SEC to discuss GBTC conversion. Let's move on from centralized exchanges quickly, because this is breaking news here. Articles just arrived at Crypto Saving Expert. We'll come back onto the Binance news in just a second. PG says, am I correct? When you put your money in a normal bank, in any way they misappropriate by loaning it out and not there, if not a run on the bank, at least Binance has your money there one-to-one to give it back. And I think the importance that's coming from this is that centralized exchanges now need to show, look, we have proof of reserves. We are doing these things correctly. Although the regulatory pressure in the US has potentially stifled growth within the last year, it's making sure that they all have everything in order so they cannot be accused of anything. And this will just line up. The cryptocurrency space has been accused of so many things over the years. And to have this kind of pressure on them from the regulators may not be a bad thing, in that we can categorically prove in every single instance, as a centralized exchange should, that they are doing everything by the book. And they will be paying even more close attention to that than ever to make sure that that is the case ahead of the next bull market. Now, we can see here in an article from Crypto Saving Expert, this is the website where we post the latest cryptocurrency news, guides, courses, market data. You can create a portfolio for free. You can look at the A to Z. You can check out our merch store. Make sure to check out cryptosavingexpert.com. But from our latest article we have here, Grayscale leadership team meets with SEC to discuss GBTC conversion. Now, GBTC is Grayscale's Bitcoin trust. It holds just Bitcoin. It is not pegged one-to-one with the value of its underlying assets. If Grayscale's GBTC owns 1,000 Bitcoin, it does not mean the stock value or the market cap of the GBTC is at 1,000 Bitcoin, because it's not one-to-one pegged. Instead, it is, sorry, I got distracted by the chat then. It's not one-to-one pegged. Instead, it just kind of floats around the value. It's had a 48% discrepancy between the actual price of this stock and the underlying assets, because it's not a spot Bitcoin ETF, and that is why Grayscale are trying to convert it into a spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, they've tried to before, and the SEC falsely rejected them. The Grayscale then took them to court and won that lawsuit against the SEC, proving that the SEC should not have rejected their application for a spot Bitcoin ETF on the grounds that they did reject them on. So now they are waiting to hear whether they can transfer GBTC into a spot Bitcoin ETF. And now they are having conversations with the SEC about this conversion. So let's take a look at this. The information was disclosed in an SEC memo, which noted the meeting attendees, highlighting key Grayscale executives and legal representatives from the Davis Polk law firm as they convened with the SEC's Division of the Trading and Markets. Let's take a look at this. The memo stated that the talks centered on NYSE Arca Inc.'s proposed rule change to list and trade shares of the GBTC Trust under NYSE Arca Rule 8.201E. So Grayscale also revealed its collaboration with the US investment bank BNY Mellon through a transfer agency and services agreement. Now, the news comes a month after US courts instructed the SEC to re-review Grayscale's spot Bitcoin ETF application. Grayscale initially filed a lawsuit against the regulator for denying the conversion of GBTC into a spot Bitcoin ETF, with the company contesting that the SEC's decision was arbitrary and capricious, especially considering its approval of similar Bitcoin futures ETFs. Now, we've seen a huge amount of discrepancy between the actual underlying value of the Bitcoin that GBTC holds as a Bitcoin trust and the actual value of its Bitcoin compared to its stock. We have seen that gap close within the last couple of months over the anticipation of a spot Bitcoin ETF acceptance. A lot of us are expecting that we will see the acceptance of a spot Bitcoin ETF at some point of time. It's a matter of when, not if. A lot of us are speculating that we will see the acceptance of these ETFs all at once. Hopefully that is the case. There is going to be a first mover advantage for those that get to launch first, so hopefully we will see some fair play here. And I think there's a huge amount of potential, which we haven't touched on yet, of the these companies that create these spot Bitcoin ETFs, Fidelity, VanEck, BlackRock, the biggest asset manager in the world, when they create these spot Bitcoin ETFs, they're not going to do it quietly. They're going to advertise these products. They're building a new product. They want people to invest in it. They want people to buy it. They're going to be marketing this. They're going to be marketing Bitcoin. I think that is a huge point that is understated here when it comes to these spot Bitcoin ETFs. These companies, yes, they are making these assets. Yes, they will have to buy the assets, but they will also be marketing their new products. This isn't something that we should be ignoring. The biggest asset manager in the world saying, hey, look, we've made a product, maybe you should look at it. That is crucial for the growth of Bitcoin within the next couple of months. Let's take a look of what is going on in the chat here. Jerome says, text to video AI means you could simulate yourself reading the news, Jess, and have a holiday. Do you reckon anyone would notice? I think that's what I should be doing. Tomorrow's live stream, we do have a special guest from Crypto Saving Experts, one member of the team that has not done a live stream yet before. So this will be his first live stream. He will be on tomorrow's stream discussing with me the latest cryptocurrency news. So make sure to stay tuned for that and give him a warm welcome. Make sure to be active in the live chat, hit the like button and just make it as seamless as possible to get him on these live streams. We'll be doing a little bit of a collab within the next couple of weeks, and then he'll be taking some of these live streams on solo as well. So give him a warm welcome tomorrow and make sure to engage with the chat if possible. I believe it will be at around 10 or 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, so stay tuned for that. Let's see what else is going on here in the cryptocurrency news. We've got Mt. Gox aiming to make repayments by the end of 2023. This is one of the first Bitcoin exchanges. It was once what's the word I'm looking for? It was once making like 60% of Bitcoin transactions, and we are now seeing that after it fell back in 2013, I want to say. This is really testing my knowledge here. They are looking to repay investors. Basically what happened was, this is a Bitcoin exchange. It suddenly went offline one day and they have still not given users back their Bitcoin. But now they are looking to do so. We've heard this before and we will probably hear this again. This news isn't too good for the markets, to be honest, because if these people get paid back their Bitcoin, what if they sell? And that's a concern that we have in the markets. We've seen it time and time again. A lot of people are worried about that. Will they be dumping their assets? Is a huge amount of Bitcoin going back into circulation what we want to be seeing in terms of supply and demand? It's not perfect, but we do want to see these people getting their funds back. If you were buying Bitcoin back in 2010, 11, 12, you deserve to have your Bitcoin back. So this is important here. It's brilliant to see that hopefully FTX won't take this long to repay its users, but we're on track here. We've seen this headline once though, so be cautious about that. Let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin here. It's currently trading at $36,626. My throat is so dry today. Let me have a sip of my coffee this morning. Perfect. Let's see what's going on here. What we have on the 4-hour chart is we have broken through that level of support that was incredibly strong. Now, I wonder if this was a one-time thing here. What we can see is we've had this level of support since back on the 24th of October. We've been in this ascending channel and we've been holding that level of support incredibly well. We break through the resistance a lot, but we've been holding that support well. Now, right now, what you can see is yesterday that shock news drove us to the downside. Typically, I would say that when we have news that drives us through a level of support or resistance, it's a fake breakout, and it's not a breakout that we should be using to completely scrap this line. I'm not deleting this line off my chart because we closed the 4-hour candle below it. That was off the back of some news. So that is, I would say, not something that we should use to disregard this whole level of support. We do still have a level of support at $36,000. We also have this level of resistance that we can drag all the way up here, which is currently sat at around $37,650. Now, if we go into the smaller time frames, you can see on the 1-hour chart, we have this level of support, $36,430, which seems to be bouncing pretty nicely. And we've got this one here, a level of resistance at $36,700 as well. Now, if we zoom into the smaller time frames, we're looking like we're gaining some kind of stability at these points. We're going to see what happens later on in today's stream. It's Wednesday right now, so we've got a couple of days to go. We have no CME gap around us to worry about, just one down at $20,000. Binance and CZ has created some volatility in the markets, but will it create a massive, massive crash? I think there was some concern for me over the immediate reaction of the markets because of the fear that is instilled in cryptocurrency when it comes to centralized exchanges. But I think when you can see clearly that there is a new CEO that knows what he's talking about, has a brilliant track record, and has the backing of CZ, and that we can see that they can pay that fine and the regulators will stop going after the exchange and they will continue to operate. They've not been misappropriating funds. I think with all of that in mind, the fear around Binance should come to an end. If we do not hear any more news surrounding this, I think it is time to move on from this. CZ has been a brilliant leader for the space. Obviously, some things have not gone to plan. He's not done things by the book completely in every single way, but he has driven the space forward in many, many ways. So I still appreciate that. What we can see here is Bitcoin's moving that way. Let's take a look at what is going on with the Ethereum here. Let's take a look. We have 19 viewers right now watching the stream and 16 likes. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. And also drop some altcoins in the chat. And we'll take a look at some altcoins. Specifically, I prefer to look at the top 20 on these kind of streams. I'm not going to look at a 10,000 market cap token. It's just not the style of these live streams here. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum on the 4-hour chart obviously had a dip yesterday as well. We did see some volatility in the markets, but again on the daily chart, if we're zooming out here, Ethereum has broken out of this descending channel. It's not broken through that level of previous resistance. In fact, it's using it as a level of support right now, so we could be in for a treat here. Now if we take a look at Ethereum BTC, let's try that again. Ethereum BTC, you can see it's having some sort of rebound, and you can see that we are seeing what could be a double bottom here, and this could indicate that Ethereum could move up to these higher levels against Bitcoin, Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin in this case, and that could be a good signal for some altcoins there as well. If we take a look at this, you can see the biggest gainers of the day, FTX, Clayton, Say, and Uniswap. Uniswap is up 5.8%. Biggest losers, BNB, Pancake, Near, and Loopring. Let's take a look at BNB. I wonder if this is a good buy. This is a really interesting topic here. It's dumped massively. It went all the way down to $224. It's currently at $233. Binance is still operating as an exchange. I think this is a really interesting topic of conversation here. Binance went all the way down to what was the lowest of the bear market. It went down to $183, and it has recuperated all the way up to almost $400 within this bear market cycle. So that's a really interesting price right now to look at. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. I don't. That is interesting. I'm not too diversified into altcoins right now because of the point of the cycle we are at, and because we have seen over and over again for the last couple of months on the bigger time frames. If you take a look at Ethereum BTC, Bitcoin has been absolutely battering Ethereum, outperforming Ethereum for the majority of the last year. But now if we're starting to see this double bottom and we're starting to see this reversal, some of the altcoins have been performing really well. BNB, an interesting one. I think it's a risk. I do think it's a risk investment. Nothing's financial advice. I'm not saying I'm definitely going to do this. But it's an interesting topic because if we've got a new CEO, if the company continue to move forward, we have proof from the regulators that they've not been, like all of that, those problems are over. Is this a potential investment choice? Let's take a look at this here. Chainlink is up $14. Now, this was below a level of resistance for 530 days. You can see that resistance clear as day. Since then, it has risen massively. It has had a bit of a cool-off period. It's up 73% since that breakup to the upside. You can see on the 1 hour chart, it's been creating some more powerful levels of support and resistance. We can see here, we have a level of resistance that goes here at $15.41. And we have some levels of support that are rising here, showing that buyers are willing to buy at higher prices. Sellers eventually, hopefully, do miss that level, and a ascending triangle has a higher probability of breaking to the upside. So we will keep an eye on this, but there's a huge range here. We're looking at between $13.41 to $15.42. So big range there to be looking at. If we take a look back at Bitcoin, let's see what's going on here. A little bit of volatility on the opening of the new hour here on the 1 hour chart. You can see we're seeing some volatility, which is quite exciting here. We'll see how this plays out. I'm keeping a close eye on Bitcoin today because things have been interesting. Things have heated up. Let's see what's going on here. I am buying the dip in NEAR, says PG. Let's take a look at NEAR and see what's going on here. Let's take a look at that. We do have a dip here for NEAR. You can see since November, it's been on the rise to the upside significantly. If we take a look at the 4-hour chart, this bounced down at $0.96 and it has not stopped here. You can see it has taken a dip here slightly. Interesting tokens here. Let's take a look. We can see we've got a level of support. In fact, we're probably better going from the wicks here since we're on such a big time frame. If you take a look at these, you can see we are currently touching a level of support for NEAR, and if we go right across the top, we could be in a nice little channel there as well. Let's take a look at that. I think if we can get this correct, this is going to be a really nice level of support. So if we take a look here, you can see that level of resistance has been used as a level of support once before as well. So that's really a solid level of resistance. This level of support is looking pretty strong at the moment. We are looking at around $1.76 there for support, and we are looking at around $2.25 for resistance. Now that is a huge range there, which we could potentially be at the bottom of. Obviously that support could break, but definitely something, a level to be keeping an eye on. So let's take a look at what's going here. It could get to same and better transactions per second than Sol. Let's take a look at Solana while we're here and see what's going on. Do you know what? My typing is getting worse and worse throughout today's stream. Let's see what's going on here. Before we do, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We do these live streams every single weekday, so I would appreciate it if you can hit that like button. What we've got here for Solana, it is having a little bit of a cool-off period, similar to Chainlink. It's had a massive rally, and now it is cooling off slightly, but I want to be taking a look at this. I want to be seeing what's going on here. Chainlink is a token that I am a huge fan of. Sorry, we're looking at Solana now. I just got distracted by talking about Chainlink, but you can see here on the hourly chart, we have this descending wedge, a level of support at around $51, level of resistance at around $58. Which one will break first? That's the question. Let's take a look finally at Polkadot. Let's see what's going on here for Polkadot. You can see we have been cooling off here as well on the 1-hour chart. We have a level of resistance. Let's go on to the 4-hour chart here. That will be better. If we get this level across here correct, you can see we have a level of resistance which is at around $5.36, and we have a level of support here which is looking to be around $4.81. So big ranges on these altcoins right now, but things are spicing up. Things are looking interesting. I think things are really tricky here. I'm going to be brutally honest. I think not enough people are brutally honest on what's going on here. I find it very difficult to determine what's the best position to go with here. Ethereum is looking like it could have a bounce against Bitcoin. We're seeing a double bottom pattern there, and with a double bottom pattern on that chart, it could be an indication for us that Ethereum and some of the major altcoins could be performing well within the next couple of months. Now, with that makes me want to diversify into the altcoins a little bit more. But at the same token, if we see a spot Bitcoin ETF, I could expect to see Bitcoin performing well and the rest of the markets lagging. Another conversation we have is that Bitcoin's ETF acceptance could be a buy the rumor, sell the news event. That's an option as well. Not something we've discussed much here on the channel. Buy the rumor, sell the news is something that happens in the markets pretty frequently. And we've seen a huge amount of people trying to front run these spot Bitcoin ETF acceptances. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but buy the rumor, sell the news is a valid scenario here for the markets, and something we definitely need to be aware of that could happen if we do see these ETFs get accepted. I don't want to be super bearish today, but I want to be prepared for what's coming in the markets. And half of me is saying if a spot Bitcoin ETF comes, I want to be fully in Bitcoin. I want to reap the rewards of buying Bitcoin during the bear market. And the other half of me is saying, but there's a double bottom here. There's an opportunity in altcoins. There's an opportunity in Ethereum. And the question is, which is going to come first? And the answer to that is something we do not know. So I'm trying to diversify it, trying to understand how much I want to take which one I want to take the most opportunity with. I'm trying to get the percentages right there with my portfolio. Everything I do obviously is planned. I make a strategy. I stick to it. I try and follow with my emotions not encountered in any decision making, but that can get incredibly difficult, especially when people are making huge gains left, right, and center. But that's what we're looking at right now. Things are looking interesting. Hopefully we see some nice rises. It would be nice to see Bitcoin come and attack this level of resistance again within the next week. Well, who knows what's going to happen right now. Bitcoin is surprising us all left, right and center, but we will stay tuned and we will be having these live streams every single weekday. But that's all we have for today's stream. Thank you very much for tuning in as always, and thank you so much, Mike, for that super chat. We very much appreciate it, and we will be back here tomorrow with another cryptocurrency news update. So thank you and goodbye.